Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Yin Yoga. Let's take a comfortable seat, finding that wonderful place where we can start class, dropping into the body, into the breath. And take a couple of nice deep breaths down in the belly so that we settle. And feeling the shoulders soften, the jaw relax, and the belly expand. And as we sit for a moment, we just notice what's present. You might notice what's within you. You might notice what's around you. And what our attention goes toward is where we tend to focus. And so if you can bring your awareness inward, you'll focus inward. If your awareness is outward, that's where your attention will go. And at the moment, just notice if you feel anything specifically. Like it can be a sensation in the body. Do you notice that you feel any emotion? And you might feel pretty neutral, and that's totally fine. Is there a spark of happiness or joy somewhere? You made it to class, you're sitting on your mat. Is there a spark of joy, a spark of happiness present? And you might notice that when you bring your attention to that idea, there is some sense of joy, or what I would like to say, lightheartedness or happiness. Holding on to that, let's bring the hands together. Maybe there's joy and happiness, maybe not. Whatever's present, allow it to be exactly what you need today. Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, hands can release, eyes can flutter open. All right, so let's do what we always do. Let's go down on the mat, lay on our spine. Have your blanket or your blanket or your bolster close by. We'll start with our somatic movement. But before we do that, let's lie all the way down and do a little bit more checking in. So as you lay back, you might take a moment to adjust yourself. And then once you feel comfortable, legs down, arms down, palms open, like you're going to do Shavasana. And just become aware of anything that's present. So we just did the sitting. See if there's anything different when you're lying down. Noticing the way your body is breathing. And the state of your mind. And then going back to this idea of emotion, today I'm going to talk a little bit about happiness and joy. And so while we're here in this really quiet state, just notice your own uh, tendency, tendency towards worry or fear, or tendency towards joy and happiness. And we could have both and for sure. But just notice right now where you are. For me, I'm on the mat and I'm with you, so there's joy. This is my happy place, along with my beach house. All right. So I want you to bend your left knee, put your foot on the floor, and then take your arms, if they'll go into cactus. If they don't go into cactus, you can put them out into a T. The other option is to put your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, and let your head rest on your hands while your elbows are open. What I want is your armpit chest to be open. So any of those three choices. So we're going to take you through a little psoas release here. So I want you to take the knee and let it fall to the midline. It's going to crisscross over your other leg. And then I want you to push into the inner edge of your foot so that your hip lifts off the floor and you feel like you're peeling the left side of your body off the mat. Keep your shoulder and your arms down. And then when you get to your end range, release it and come back to center. Take a breath in the middle if you need to, and then exhale, knee drops in, push off of that foot, hip peels off the floor, lower back comes off the floor, and then release and come down. So continuing over and over and over again, massaging, flossing the tissues, push, push, push. And you might notice this in your hip or your inner groin or maybe your lower back. We're in the area of the left psoas, and by now you probably know that the psoas attaches to the inner side of the leg bone, the femur, wraps around through the pelvis, and attaches to all 5 lumbar vertebrae, or 7 lumbar vertebrae, sorry. And a lot of people that have back issues have psoas issues. And it's not uncommon for us to think, oh, I've got a back problem, when really you have a muscular problem, an imbalance specifically. After this next one, you push, 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 feel that expansion, release all the way, and then take your arms and your legs down again. And just pause before we do the other side, noticing the difference between the left side and the right. If you feel more spaciousness in the left back, or your left groin, or your leg feels heavier, that's your psoas releasing from that chronic tightness. And now take your right leg, do the same thing. Foot on the floor, hands back in the same position you had them the first time. Let your knee fall to the midline and crisscross over your other leg, and then push into your foot, lifting your hip and your lower back off the mat. Remember, you want to keep your stability in your shoulder and arm. Then slowly release it. Knee drops in, pushing through the foot, peel the hip and the lower back off the floor. You might come all the way where your shoulder blade is the only thing on the mat. That depends on your range of motion and what you're feeling. Remember, it's not about how big it is, it's about the subtlety of the sensations. So, something to think about when I ask you about happiness and joy, it's a choice. We don't look to external experiences to create happiness and joy. We choose to see the world with those intentions or eyes. So, just like love, a lot of people don't know this, but love is a choice. You choose to love and be love in the world. And maybe somebody makes you feel loved, but that's not really, it's coming from the inside, your inside, right? So you might be in a joyful experience and it might bring you a lot of laughter and joy, but truly it's coming from you on the inside. It's your choice. And the reason I'm talking about this today, 2 reasons. Let's do one more repetition here. The first reason is that I was reminded how amazing you can feel when you laugh. like really laugh. Go ahead and release everything. Bring your arms down, bring your legs down. Have you had that experience recently where you were belly laughing so hard that there was this energy of like joy and freedom in your body and mind? Nothing mattered in that moment. This is our cells like high on happiness, basically. Bring your knees into the chest, give them a little hug here. And you might notice that you felt a lot different in one side than the other, and that's pretty normal. Do a little rocky rock if you want, and then we're going to go into our first yin pose. So, targeting the inner groin and targeting the outer body, we're going to go into banana next. So, legs down. Walk your feet over to the right side of your mat so you feel just a little sensation in your left side body. And then walk your head and shoulders over to the left side. And again, if you want, your hands can be back in cactus or behind your head, or you could take your arms up over your head if your shoulders allow it. Cross your right ankle over your left foot to hold your leg in place, or cross your left foot over your right ankle to make it a little bit deeper. And we take a moment to settle into the shape. And we'll wait through this time now of tension against tissues. Breathing into your left side body. Feeling the areas where there's some stickiness. Yeah. So I don't know if you ever watch comedians, stand-up comics, anything like that. And when I find somebody that I like that's really good, I'm kind of all in. I don't really enjoy the cheap humor of putting people down or, um, making fun of specific groups of people or anything like that. So I found this person that I really like, and he was actually live here in Santa Fe last week. And so my husband and I went. Now, I haven't been to a live show in a long time, but I did nothing but laugh for an hour and a half. And towards the end, as they always do, their sort of wrap up monologue is their best material, right? So you are belly laughing and tears are out of your eyes, and you just can't even stand it. You're going through this extreme experience. And afterwards, I found that I was so relaxed, but I was so happy. Like everything that I looked at and everything that I said came from this place of joy and happiness. And I don't know about you, but I don't live there all the time. I can really get sucked down the rabbit hole just like everybody else. And I can be a little judgy and a little critical and a little overly preoccupied with the negativity in the world. And that brings down our energy, our vibration, if you will. And in order for us to be healthy, in order for us to have a vibrant life, our cells need joy and happiness and love. Those are the three, kind of compassion, joy, and love. And the yogis teach us that joy, the Buddhists teach us that joy is the highest vibrational state you can be in. So you might ask yourself, how often do you choose joy? Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly unwind yourself. Bring yourself back to the middle of your mat. Legs down, arms down. And if you feel like you need a little reset in the middle, it's nice to bend your knees, maybe swish your legs side to side, or maybe lift your hips up and put your hips down. You don't have to do all of it. Just do something if your body feels like, you know what, it's a little cranky. I think I need a little middle kind of movement. And then when you feel ready, the legs go back down. We'll do the other side. So the legs go to the left next. The head and shoulders go to the left. So you look like this banana shape if you look down on yourself. And then put your arms in that same position you did on the first side. So maybe your arms are over your head. Maybe your arms are behind you. We're in cactus. Decide to hook your feet if you like. And feel anchored down on the floor, down on your mat. Feel grounded and anchored. Really breathe into the stickiness. There's starting a lot of research is being done now on the tightness that we feel in the body, specifically as it relates to fascia and ligaments and tendons and connective tissue. And there's a lot of belief system around our previous life, everything that's happened to us before, and how our bodies hold any kind of trauma, sadness, fear, grief, any of those kinds of lower vibrations. And it's so interesting to me because my husband and I are so different in this way. My body has a lot of what we would call trauma in it from past experiences, from my belief systems, from lots of reasons. Even though I do lots of yoga, even though I've been in fitness and have been moving my body for years, my husband's completely different. Like he's got all this ease in his body. He never feels a lot of tightness or tension. And so we're so different in this way. And I always just thought, well, it's because I need to stretch more, or I need to walk more, or I need to do something more, eat less sugar, whatever it is. No, they're starting to find that however we're put together, psychically, emotionally, physiologically, has a lot to do with how our bodies hold or release these memories. It doesn't have anything to do with if you're good or bad or right or wrong or doing anything you're not supposed to be doing or vice versa. It has more to do with our tendencies that our physiology is going through. So I just find it so fascinating that now we're in these practices where, we're doing more meditation, we're doing more yin, we're doing things that are a little bit less traumatic to the tissues, because maybe there's some release that has to happen. Take one more nice deep breath. And then go ahead and unwind yourself. Bring yourself back to the middle. Bend your knees so your feet are on the floor. And again, maybe rocking pelvis slightly, picking hips up slightly, finding something that helps your body go back into a neutral or balanced sensation. And you might have noticed that one of those positions could have been really challenging and you didn't notice it until you came all the way out and then you were like, ew. So go easy. All right, the next shape we're going to do, I want you to use either a thick blanket or your bolster. So I happen to have my bolster right here. I want you to lift your hips up and put it underneath your pelvis. So the idea here is that I want your pelvis and your lower back, this is why I want you not to use the block, supported. So lower back and pelvis are supported. So if I were using my blanket, it would not be as high as my bolster, but it would still be a soft shape. Once you're here, just pause. Feet are on the floor. Roll your shoulders a little under you so you're not compressing on your neck. Your arms can do whatever they want. They can be down. They can be open. And so we're going to go back to the psoas lower back issue. So if you are feeling a little vulnerable in your lower back, it's nice just to pause here for a moment. Let your body adjust. If you can't get out of it, you might want to wiggle a little bit over your blanket or bolster. Find that sweet spot. And then take your left knee in towards your chest, hold it with your left or right hand, either way. And I just want you to just let the weight of your arms draw the leg in. So don't pull real hard. And then from here, slide your right leg down along the floor until it's extended. So finding a place where you can hold and feel sensation. Remember, if you're using like a number system, like 1 through 10, 1 is no sensation, 10 is pain. You might want to be at a 6, a 5, or 6. If it goes into pain, it's too much and your body really doesn't like it. You're not going to relax the tissues and hydrate the tissues. You're going to actually aggravate them. So remember that the fascia is dense around the joints. And by the time we get 50 and above, our joints can be a little cranky. And a lot of times it's not the actual bones, it's the actual fascia wrapped around the bones that's cranky. And so we're breathing, falling into this practice of awareness. And so going back to this idea of choosing joy, you might ask yourself, when you wake up, do you feel joy? Are you happy that you woke up? That there's another day? That there's opportunity and curiosity and expansion, and you get to choose? Or is it easy to fall into that, kind of pit of doom and gloom, like, oh, I have to do this, or oh my God, listen to what's on the news, or whatever is going on? A really fun practice, I don't know if you do it, but instead of saying, I have to clean the house today, you say, I get to clean the house today. And when you get done with cleaning the house, you're really happy because I don't know anybody that doesn't like a clean house. And just changing that one word from I have to I get to switches the vibration in your body. So if you go, oh yeah, I say that a lot, it might be fun for you to try the I get to and see how it feels. Take a nice deep breath. And then letting that foot come down onto the mat. Pause there for a moment with this leg extended. Don't be so quick to run out of it. And then just slide your foot up when you're ready. Give yourself a moment here in the center. And again, you can adjust yourself on the bolster or the blanket as you need. Second side, right leg comes up nice and gentle. You just opened up that side, so go easy. Hold your leg or your knee, however you like, and then slide the other leg down. And as you slide the other leg down, you'll notice, the sensations on this side now. If there's no sensation, you can draw the knee in a little closer, looking for tension against those tissues. Again, we're back in the front of the leg and the deep inner psoas and the lower back. This is one of my favorite shapes. If I'm tight or I've been sitting a lot, if my back hurts, I'll get on the floor and do this action. And I'm always amazed at how much better it makes me feel. And if you're like me and you're doing a lot of gardening at the moment, our bodies are not really designed to bend over for long periods of time in the garden, digging holes and pulling weeds, doing whatever we're doing, which is why our back hurts. And so you got to counter that action somehow. Most of us need some kind of hip opening, some kind of psoas releasing. And if you have ever studied or was curious around anatomy, you would know that when you're squatting or you're bending over in the garden for long periods of time, you're shortening the psoas and you're also making it work like crazy because you're folded over yourself and something's got to hold you upright. And then usually it's the psoas, but it's not in an optimal position to do so. So therefore, it gets really tired really fast. And then other muscles have to take over, which aren't necessarily designed to do that. And then you wonder why your back hurts. Again, a lot of times it isn't about the bones. It can be, but it's more likely that it's the connective tissue and the associated muscles that are just overdone. And if you've ever taken my muscle work, I always tell you a weak muscle is a tight muscle is a weak muscle. Can't do its job properly. Take one more breath. And then let your leg, your right leg, lower down nice and slow. And then slide the left leg up and pause here for a moment. When you feel ready, you can lift your hips up and slide the bolster of the blanket out from underneath you. Rest on the mat. And again, if there's something that you want to do in your body in between, go ahead. A lot of times I just like to bring myself all the way back to Shavasana shape and let my body integrate what I just did, because it can be big. Alrighty, as you feel ready, I want you to bend your knees and roll to a side, push yourself up away from the floor. All right, we're going to move to the belly. This is going to be another kind of little back bend here. So just lay down on your belly. And if you can be up on your elbows, please do so. And I want you to hold your arms. This is another shape. You don't have to do it this way. You can put your hands in traditional Sphinx. I've been doing it this way just as a variation. And your feet can be a little wider. So this is traditional Sphinx, but I'm going to ask you to do something a little different. I want you to turn your toes under and press your feet so that your kneecaps come off the floor. And there's a little bit of engagement in your legs. Don't make it so hard that you can't be here. And the pelvis is down on the mat. Now, if this immediately goes into your lower back and you know it's not going to be the right thing for you, relax your legs down. And we'll just do traditional strengths. But if you can turn the toes under and press out through the legs, I want you to be here. And then the other piece to this is I want you to gently, not hard, gently draw the elbows like you're trying to pull them toward your belly. So on a scale of 1 to 10, you're doing that at about a 5 or a 6. And that's going to bring your heart forward a little. And if you're pressing through your feet, it's going to help to open up this whole frontal line, fascial line from feet all the way to the face, feet to face. Remember, your head can be in a neutral position. I don't necessarily want you to put your head down here. There's a little bit of efforting going on. So pressing through the feet, pulling gently through the elbows, lifting heart. See if you can notice sensation in your chest or in your belly. If you feel a little bit in your lower back, that's not a bad thing. But if it starts to move upward in that scale and you're moving towards a little bit more pinching or pain, you got to relax. Just allowing the breath to deepen into the belly. Finding joy and happiness in this shape. Choosing to be in a state of joy in everything that we do, whether it's washing dishes, doing yoga, playing in the garden, the things you get to do. And I've been playing with this idea for the last week or so, and I've really noticed how often I'm not there, how often I'm kind of grumbly. And it's not optimal. Truly, it's not. And if we're around the same age, we grew up as girls to sort of be in a little group of friends and talk about the other friends. Do you ever do that? Why do we do that? Why do we talk about other people and kind of grouse about other people or whatever's going on? And I recently heard that we do it because it makes us feel better because we're not doing it. So if somebody's doing something that you don't necessarily approve of, rather than letting it go and not focusing on it, thinking about something else, you complain to somebody else about it. Some people call that gossip. It's not a good action. It doesn't bring more higher vibration to yourself. Take one more breath. And then as you exhale, relax your legs if you were pushing through them. Relax yourself all the way down onto your hands and let your body adjust to what you just did. Again, it's really common to feel a little bit of tenderness or vulnerability in the tissues when you're coming out of a shape like that, especially if you're not used to it. And as you feel ready, your body starts to say, okay, I feel better. Push yourself up away from the floor. And we're going to come into a seated position now. You can sit up on a blanket if you like, if that helps your hips feel more open. I'm going to sit up on my little beanbaggy. And I want you to go into Sukhasana, but I want you to do it in this different way. So normally people will sit cross-legged and they'll just bring their feet toward them like this. I want you to move your feet out in front of you a little, kind of line your feet up with the level of your knees and wiggle your feet across the mat so your feet are under your knees. And then let your legs relax. Now, if your legs are stuck up in the air, you can put blocks here supporting your legs. But ideally what I want is the legs, even if they're up a little, I want there to be the opportunity for the legs to settle lower as we sit here. Okay? So first action, we're going to do a twist. I want you to sit up nice and tall. Don't use your hands. Take a breath. And as you exhale, turn to the right. You're going to find this kind of edge where you can't go anymore. Left hand on your leg, right hand on the floor behind you. If you're able to put your palms flat down and press into your palm, you're going to get more action in the wrist, hand, and forearm, which most of us are really tight in. So it's just a little advantage if you can do that. If you're sitting high on something, you won't be able to. Think about the twist as a little bit all the way up the spine. So tailbone anchored down, a little baby twist through the sacrum, lumbar, thoracic, cervical, until your head finally turns and finds a place to pause. And so ideally, your legs are in a position where they're a little bit more open. They can release down on your feet. Not let your feet hold them so much as just let the knees drop down to the feet. And just allow the breath to deepen into the belly. You get to do this pose. You get to twist your body. You get to enjoy the sensations. Notice the little inner smile. And sometimes we get a little burdened with all the things that we, quote, have to do, errands, doctor's appointments, taking care of people. And the reason I'm talking so much about this today is because I I really wished I would have practiced this a little bit more when I was seeing my sister, because it was not an easy visit. And I found myself saying things like, I wish I had, or I have to do this, or, not in a state of joy for sure. Take a nice deep breath. And then as you release, slowly come back to the center. Good. And then sit tall, facing your legs, lifted chest. Start to hinge from your hips. So imagine your belly is going to lay on your legs. So I'm not collapsing my back. And then when you get to the edge, ideally you're feeling something in your hips. You might put your hands down on the floor. I want you to stay as long in your spine as you can. We'll round the spine a little bit, but for this one, I want you to think about lower back and belly moving forward towards your legs and then stop wherever that is. Keeping your chin in a neutral position. Eyes can be closed. If you're far enough forward and you want to, you can rest your elbows on your own legs, still keeping that nice long spine. Noticing your shoulders and the jaw. And so the teaching today is really about listening and paying attention to your state of mind throughout the day and whether you tend towards the glass half empty or the glass half full. Take a nice deep breath. And then slowly come on up. Uncross your legs. So bring your legs up and then just stretch your legs out a little bit in front of you. Maybe rotate your ankles. Give your legs a moment in neutral. And I didn't call the side. And so my natural way to sit in Sukhasana is my right ankle's in front of my left. So do your normal, what you just did, and then switch your cross. It will feel unfamiliar. It won't feel as easy. And then remember your feet are out in front of you so that you should be able to see your toes, and your legs ideally are resting towards your feet. And then sit up nice and tall. Don't use your hands. Take a breath. And as you exhale, turn now to your left. You're going to find that edge where you can't go anymore. Right hand on your left leg. Left hand flat down if you can, right behind you. So there's a kind of a sweet position with that back hand right next to your body, as close to you can get it. So you're pressing straight down. And what that does is two things. It keeps your spine elongated, and then it also puts some positive pressure against these tissues. We have fascia in our hands, remember? And our hands have many joints, and our joints get tight. And we say we have arthritis, which it might not be. It might be, but it also might not be. It could just be your fascia. And if you have these repetitive habits that you do with your hands, like you type a lot, or I'm dating myself when I say that. Um, Knit a lot, do things, where your hands are always active, you're going to have tightness. When I go and see the woman that does my body work, and when I say body work, she's traditionally a massage therapist, but she moves the energy in my body more. And literally, she's not, I mean, I can't, I've been going to her for a couple of years now, and I can never really tell what she's doing. I mean, she's got her hands on me. And if you've ever had cranial sacral work, it's similar to that, only she does it in my whole body. I'm always amazed at how sore I am the next day. Like my body feels like it's been pummeled. And the only thing she does is she unsticks this constant tightness that I've got in my fascia, releasing the energy, releasing the fascia and the holding patterns so my body can have more ease. Take one more breath. And then slowly letting yourself release. And then we'll go forward on this side. So sit up nice and tall. Let your belly lead the way towards your thighs or towards your shins. And finding that edge where you're not collapsing in a rounded position. And then maybe hands on the floor or elbows on your knees. So fascinating, right? You would expect to be sore if you worked out. You would expect to be sore if you garden all day because you were doing something different. You wouldn't expect to be sore from energy moving in your body. And and you might say to yourself, well, massage, it can be really uncomfortable. Her massage is not like that. So I have learned that my body really does hold a lot of trauma, memories, emotion. And I have to do practices like this, yoga practices that move my body in a really intentional way so that these things can get released. And then, why do I care about all that? Because then I can get to joy. Then I'm not sitting in a place of, I don't feel good in my body, or I'm frustrated about something. And I don't know about you, but when you are, your body's not in a good place, it's hard to have joy and happiness. It is. And so the fact that you're here today on the mat tells me that there's a benefit to working in this way. And noticing how you feel in your body when you think about and choose joy and happiness. Take a nice deep breath here. And then as you inhale, come back up. Support your legs as you bring your legs out in front of you. So that way to do Sukhasana talks to the hips, the knees, and the ankles. So you got a lot going on there. All right. So if you have your bolster or your blanket, grab it. Bring your feet to butterfly, feet away from you. You can also use your blocks underneath your bolster or your blanket to make it higher. And you're going to sit up tall. And this time I want you to lean forward like you just did, but then allow a little bit of flexion to happen in your spine. Rest on something. So I want you to rest your elbows on your bolster, your blanket. Maybe hold your head in your hands or let your head rest on something. I like to stretch my arms out over my bolster so that my whole back body is being supported. Finding a place where you feel an edge. That edge sensation. Try not to make it go directly into your lower back. That's a little too much here. It's kind of a generic, like outer legs, inner legs, all along the spine, maybe up into the arms if your arms are extended like mine. Nice little trick is to put your elbows on the mat and wiggle your elbows forward on your bolster if you're holding your head. So the elbow movement forward, the arm movement forward gets a little bit into that dense tissue of the chest and the armpits. And then finding that pause, that breath. Eyes are closed. And if you put your forehead in your hand so that you're pressing on the front of your forehead, right by your eyebrows, you're bringing awareness to that third eye point, which is I like to call it our worry place, because that's where you get what they call the 11s, right? The worry lines across your forehead. And you might notice that as soon as you do that, you put some weight there in your hands, there's a sense of ease that happens. And anytime you hold your head, like if you're holding your head in front or whether you're holding your head on the side, you're pressing into these specific marma points on your skull that can help let go of the external and bring you to the internal. Let go of what's quote unquote worrying you and come back into your joy and compassion and love in your own body. Allowing yourself to continue to drop in. Almost like a meditation. You drop in and we let go of whatever else might be going on except for this moment in time in our body and sensations and breath. Okay, take a nice deep breath. And then slowly bring yourself up to sitting. Move your bolster or whatever away from you. Bring your legs to center and stretch your legs down. All right, so to counter that now, I want you to also use your blanket and bolster. We're going to set ourselves up in a chest opener next. If you have a blanket, you're going to lay it flat down lengthwise so that the blanket hits you about the bra line, maybe even a little higher. If you have a bolster and you want to, you can bring your block underneath your bolster. I like the low side, but you can do the middle side so that it's slightly elevated. If you are using a bolster that's really big, you can slide it all the way to your lower back so that you're completely supported on your spine. But a blanket you can't really put a bolster, a block under there. So it's better to put it around your bra line. And then turn your blanket under so you've made a little pillow for your head. Take your arms away from you so that your chest is open. That's why they call this a chest opener. And you can do different things with your legs. So if your lower back is a little stiff, you might want to just bend your knees. You can put your feet together close to your body, knees open, so you're expanding around the front groins. Or you can put your legs all the way down and just let yourself relax. Okay, so whichever feels the best for you as far as not easy, but purposeful. We're going to rest here. So the thing I want you to have more than anything else is this openness in the chest. You might even take your arms up, holding your elbows, and bring your arms up over your head. That's a really nice action, but it's quite challenging. So you decide how you want to rest here. And I want to remind you, I know you know this, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Yin yoga is not restorative yoga. Restorative yoga is complete relaxation in different shapes. Really good for the nervous system, really good for lots of reasons, like if you're, recovering from a serious illness or a disease. Yin yoga is a little bit more purposeful. There's tension against tissues. You want to feel slightly uncomfortable. You want to feel sensation in your body. And as we wait here and pause through this time, just notice your own tendency of maybe you're trying to move away from the discomfort and trying to make yourself feel more comfortable. That might be something you do in your day-to-day life. Rather than being with something that's uncomfortable, becoming aware of how we put ourselves in that state of, not joy, compassion, and love. So we just pause here, letting the body adapt to the shape that you've put it in. And it's okay to move and adjust so that you continue to feel the tension in the tissues all the way through the hold. And I get to hold this shape. I get to be on the mat. I get to feel and sense my body. And I like to think of our time together as not another thing to do, not a, oh, I did my yoga, check, on to the next thing. But it's more of a opportunity to reconnect or connect to our deepest self, maybe with each other on the mat. It's an opportunity for us to really love and find joy in this thing that we call a body, this thing that we call life. All right, take a nice deep breath. And if your arms are up over your head, bring those down first. Adjust your legs so that your knees are pointing to the ceiling and your feet are flat on the floor. And then just pause there for a moment. As you feel ready, you can roll off of your bolster or your blanket. And I'm going to ask you to do this bolster blanket one more time under your hips. And you can see why I wanted you to use something soft. We're using it a lot today, and I didn't want it to just be about the blocks. So when you take your bolster or blanket under you, just like we did before, but let it come a little bit more towards your lower back. So your buttocks flushes off of your blanket or off of your bolster. You can stay right here if you like, but I'm going to ask you to bring your legs up. And this is where you might want to rock and roll a little bit, make sure your lower back is supported, and then take your legs straight up to the ceiling. Again, your arms can be down by your sides like Shavasana. Your arms can be in cactus. You can put your hands behind your head, opening your chest, maybe even arms over your head. But this won't be as long of a hold, but I want you to have your legs up over your heart, over your hips. If your legs get tired, you can bend your knees a little bit or bend your legs all the way, but keep your legs up. I've got my legs touching as if they're one unit, but I'm not going to work my legs hard. Okay, so I don't want you to worry about locking your knees or using your quads or any of that. Keep your hip flexors quiet. So you might even want to check. If your hip flexors are all grippy and tight, soften your knees or bend your feet down so they relax. I don't want that to be tight. And the way to keep that relaxed is your back is relaxed. You've got your back supported with your blanket or your bolster. You might really get sensation to move your legs around. Try really hard not to. And again, if you feel legs are getting too tired, just relax your legs. Keeping your jaw relaxed, your chin off your chest. The chest is more open here. And now if you haven't brought your feet down, go ahead and do that now. And hold on to your knees or shins with your hands. And start to draw the knees towards your chest. And as you do that, you're going to roll onto the edge of the bolster onto your lower back. Buttocks is going to roll a little bit off away from the blanket or the bolster. If you like, your knees can separate. You can draw the knees in more. Softening through that whole action. So this is pressure against your lower back on purpose. That's why I want you to use something soft. And then go ahead and release all of that. Feet go to the floor. You've got an option here to take the bolster or the blanket away or just push it down so it's right underneath your lower legs or upper legs. And you can support your legs while you rest in Shavasana here. This feels really good to anybody who's got tight hip flexors or tight psoas or lower back. And so go ahead and do that if it feels right to you, and we'll rest here for the last few minutes. Making sure that your body feels comfortable, grounded. And then imagine in your mind's eye something that brings you joy. It could be a pet or a loved one or a bright new flower that just blossomed in the garden. And hold that image in your mind's eye as you notice a little inner smile starting to happen on your face and in your heart. higher vibration of joy, love, and happiness as you rest in Shavasana. Take a longer and deeper breath. And slowly start to stretch and move your body. As you feel ready, you can bend your knees, roll to a side, pause there for a moment, keeping eyes closed and head relaxed. Slowly push yourself up to seated. We'll close the practice. Once you're seated, hands at your heart. Gratitude always for our time together on the mat, our deep body wisdom and guiding light. May our light always shine brightly, and may we always see the light in each other. Namaste.